وضل عنهم ما كانوا يدعون من قبل وظنوا ما لهم لا يسأم الإنسان من دعاء الخير وإن مسه الشر فيئوس قنوط ولئن أذقناه رحمة منا ضراء أظن الساعة قائمة يكفي بربك أنه على كل
نعته أوهام الواسفين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعليه الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the continuation of the discussion of the phenomena of wilayat, we said that we have chosen this topic in order to have a better understanding of what wilayat really means, particularly in the month of Ramadan, because the month of Ramadan helps us to understand Quran more, to come closer to Quran more, to make our life and remind us of the Quran, and also the month of Ramadan reminds us of wilayat as well. As we, matter of fact, recite the Dua Iftitah, in which you have the element of Tawheed and also you have the element of wilayat, where you take the names of the Masumin alayhimus salam. And also on the night of Qadr, once again, it's the Quran and wilayat and the names of the Masumin alayhimus salam that we are reminded of. After defining what wilayat is, and after investigating the different forms and types of wilayat that exist, like as we said, wilayat means closeness, something that is close to each other. They are considered as a wali of each other, right? Either this closeness is horizontal closeness, or this closeness is vertical closeness. Now, vertical closeness meaning that, for example, the father have the wilayat over the children. The father may be someplace else, horizontally speaking, but in terms of the verticality, the father have wilayat over the children. He may be in some other place, at some other state, but the children are here. So that's also wilayat. The father have a wilayat, right? And there's a, what you call horizontal closeness as well. For example, two people being next to each other, they are wali each other, they are close to each other, Now this closeness can also, as we said, could be that, okay, they may be close to each other, but they may be far in terms of their heart. I have a person who is sitting next to me in a plane or a train or whatever, but I'm much closer to you than this person who is sitting next to me. So I am your wali, you are my wali. We are wali of each other, right? But in terms of that definition of being closeness, that nearness, which wilayat means, yes, that is there, but that is only physical, but not manavi, not spiritual. So yeah, these are the different forms of wilayat that exist. Now we also said that these forms that we have defined, they in reality also exist. In this dunya we see that awliya baz of baz, they are awliya of her friends of each other. And also Quran points out to that, do not take the wilayat of Shaytan. He's the aduun mubin, meaning that don't be closer to Shaytan. Yes, physically he may not be close, I don't see him, but in terms of the manaviyat, that's spiritual, that may be close. He could be the wali, he could be the guardian, like for example, right? So now we were looking at, after knowing the meaning and definition of wilayat and the different types and forms of wilayat, in the world that exist, it is time to really embark upon understanding and realization and the basis on which this phenomena or this wilayat is achieved. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions ways by which we all can achieve the wilayat, that nearness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah have mentioned that we can be wali of Allah and Allah can be wali of us. So basically the maktab-e tashayyo is there in order to make us wali. Ahl Bayt wants us to become wali of Allah. And Ahl Bayt wants us to make wali of Allah and wants Allah to be our wali. That's their purpose, that's their message, that's what they want from us. We all are potential awliya. We all are potential walis. But this potentiality must come in reality. That nearness should come, which is wilayat. That should happen, right? So, as it is insan, it is human being who is the beginning of this wilayat. Although Allah is near us, He is closer to us than our jugular vein. So what wilayat are we talking about? We are talking about our nearness to Allah. Although He is very close to me, but I haven't realized that closeness. Like as we said earlier, sometimes the closeness could be very physical, but in terms of our heart, it could be distant. We are far from each other. Sometimes they are far, but the father have wilayat even in some other country that person lives, right? So what I'm trying to point out here is that the closeness not necessarily means as physical closeness as such. And this closeness could also be From one side it is very close, from other side it is not close. From one side I'm very close to the wall, but the wall have no understanding whether the wall is close to me. Have no idea, but it's wilayat there. You see, there are two persons sitting next to each other, but this person is completely somewhere else in terms of his understanding, belief, manaviyat, whatnot. But the other person is not. But the other person is much closer to me because we are friends in terms of our understanding, right? So on the same token, when Allah says that I'm closer to man than the jugular vein, yes, He's very close to us. But the point is, am I close to Him or not? Do I have that wilayat to Him or not? So if I perform, which is required of me, which I could achieve the station of wilayat by performing that, yes, I will come closer to God and I will become a wali of Allah. That's why the Quran also point out to that they are awliya, as the Quran, as the verse which really, Allah inna awliya Allah la khawfun alayhim wa lahum yahzanun. They are awliya of Allah. That means they are wali of Allah and Allah is their wali. It's not like Allah is closer to them or than the jugular vein, as He says, and they are not close. No, there are certain individuals, certain people, certain human beings who are the awliya of Allah. That means Allah is their wali and they are wali of Allah as well. That closeness they have achieved that closeness. And we said that, this is a reminder, and we said that there are two phenomena or two realities which are very important for this closeness to be achieved, and that is ma'rifat and ikhlas. Ma'rifat is the knowledge and understanding, and ikhlas is the sincerity. And sincerity is related to the action. One is related to aql nazari, which means intellectual, theoretical intellect, and the other is related to aql amali, which is practical intellect. There is theoretical intellect, which is from in theory, I have understood a concept. For example, with this will happen. If theoretically the doctor proves me that if you take this medicine, you'll get better. Theoretically, he has explained it, everything. He has given me the physiotherapy, how to do it and what not to do it. Theoretically understand, right? So that theoretical intellect is intact, good. But it requires a practical intellect as well. That is the action, aql amali. So ma'rifat is aql nazari and ikhlas is aql amali. That action is required. So for me to come closer to Allah, for me to become waliullah, I need ma'rifat, aql nazari. And also I need aql amali, I need ikhlas as well. That's sincerity in my action, right? So now, Amirul Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, in order to clarify and make clear this concept of nearness and wilayat, aql nazari wa aql amali, there's a narration which says that az-zuhd thamaratul yaqeen, zuhd, asceticism, zahid, zuhd, right, is samaratul yaqeen, is the fruit of certainty. Zuhd is what? Is aql amali, because a zahid is a person who abstain from the world. That's a person is zahid, right? That's aql amali, that's with action. If I eat less, if I sleep less, if I do ibadat, if I fast, if I do zikr, I'm being a zahid. I'm trying to be ascetic, a zahid. But what is Amir saying? He's saying az-zuhd samaratul yaqeen, the fruit which is zuhd is actually from yaqeen. Yaqeen is what? Aql nazari, certainty. Is the aql have reached that level of yaqeen, certainty. Now, as it has reached that level of yaqeen, what it gives as a fruit? It gives zuhd. It gives asceticism. It will make me ascetic, right? So, what this hadith points out to that, ma'rifat is the asl and ikhlas is furu. So, ma'rifat is the foundation, knowledge and understanding and certainty. If we have that, then the ikhlas will follow as well. But these two are not in a vertical reality, but rather, these two are not in the horizontal reality. but rather vertical. What do I mean by that? It's not that, okay, now I want to concentrate on gaining my yaqeen. So I'm just going to read about Tawheed and existence of God, and I'm going to make sure that I have yaqeen. And then after that, I'll start praying. No. Because they are helpers of each other. So as soon as we have that on whatever level of yaqeen, we have to have ikhlas right away. It's vertical. It's not like, okay, first I have this and then grade 1 to grade 2. No, it's like that. So I have whatever level of yaqeen I have, on that level of yaqeen, I have to do my action. I have to point out to my sincerity. Whatever level of yaqeen I have, that level of fruit will be the ascetic. The asceticism, the zuhud will be of that, type of fruit. If my yaqeen is really strong and good, then obviously the fruit will be strong and good. But for this fruit to become strong and good, on whatever level of yaqeen I have to practice. I have to have zuhud. Then this zuhud, which I have practiced very little, I have sown my khulus, then it will increase my yaqeen as well. So it kind of, complement each other. It helps each other. It's not like, okay, I should have yaqeen, I should have aql nazari, and then the aql amali will come. No. On whatever level of aql nazari I have, whatever I have understood, for example, that's how you should recite ziyarat. You should recite izn dukhul, you do ghusl, you do mustahab ghusl before going for ziyarat, you take small steps, you recite the zikr when you are taking this small step. You have some sort of yaqeen on all of that it comes from the imams. Because the sayings of the imams have proven it to be true. The sayings of the imam have provided you with a natija, with a result, whatever the imams have said. So in certain affairs, it may not make sense to you as such. However, because you have yaqeen on the sayings of the imam, you act upon it. When you act upon it sincerely, I don't understand Arabic, but this is how imams have said to recite ziyarat. I don't know the meanings of it, but I have yaqeen what imam have given me is correct. I sincerely practice, and the result will come. You will have that. That sincerity of action is needed on that yaqeen that I have. Then my yaqeen will start to increase, and also my action becomes meaningful day by day. I remember, when I was little, for example, we used to go for ziyarat. I don't know, it's long ziyarat, right? Page after page. You don't understand. But as that love of Ahl Bayt is there, as that yaqeen of Ahl Bayt is there, and you practice that, with that sincerity, whatever you have. And then, our yaqeen will be increased, our knowledge will be increased gradually, and gradually Allah provides that. So, in another narration, Imam Ali alayhi salam says that, اساس تصمیم گیری دوراندیشی و زیرکی است. عزم و تصمیم گیری کار عقل عملی است. Azm is where I intend, right? And I decide to do something. That is actually, he's saying, is the work of aql amali, is the action. That willpower to continue and carry on. I should have that strong will. I go to Hajj, I do the niyat of Hajj. Just the niyat of Hajj will not suffice enough. Okay, I've done niyat of Hajj. No, I have to follow through. Oh, so difficult. Yes, I have to follow through. Arafah, Mina, Muzdalfa, Rami, and so on and so forth. Right? That will, that azm should be there. That action should be there. But he says that amma hazm, which is actually the intention, which is actually the science. Aql nazari is that understanding. Right? How great Hajj is. It is wajib, and once I fulfill this, I will be purified. So on and so forth. That's intellectual understanding. Requires that strong will as well. Now this strong will, where is it coming from? It's coming from my understanding, right? So they appreciate each other, they complement each other, so both is needed. So we have to continuously try to increase our understanding and marifat, and at the same time, never ever give up action. We also have to implement, we also have to act. That's why they say, ittaqullah wa yu'allimukumullah. Be God wary, be God conscious, Allah will teach you. Or, for example, it says that in a narration that whatever you learn, if you practice, then Allah will open new doors for you. You will understand more and more by our practice. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now, as we said, we look marifat and ikhlas. Now let's look at marifat. Is it possible to have the knowledge of Allah? Right? Allah is eternal. Allah is, infinite. Right? Is it possible to have or not? First. Number two, if it is possible, what are the ways of achieving it? How one can achieve that marifat? Now, as it is possible, Hazrat Amir says that Awwaluddin Marifa, because it is possible, but not possible in the sense that one is capable, because, as it says that, وَمَا قَدَرُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ قَدْرِهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَقَوِيُّ الْعَزِيزُ. The way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is powerful, I haven't really recognized Him that way, the Prophet says. The way مَا عَبَدْنَاكَ حَقَّ عِبَادَتِكَ, the way Allah should be worshipped, I haven't worshipped Him. So obviously we are feeble. We have faqr wujudi, essential poverty. We all are essentially poor. Essentially we are poor. So we will not be able to worship the way Allah should be worshipped. It is not possible. But still we have to try. Still we have to do our best. The Prophet, his feet used to get swollen up by standing up at night. One night ibadat, our back is aching, our knee is aching, and we sit on the chair, sometimes we stand, sometimes we, one night ibadat. But Prophet every night, Amirul Mu'minin every night. Now why is their action so strong, and why they are strong in their will? Because their marifat is strong, their understanding is strong, right? And they complement each other, they do that action as well, and then they keep on increasing. So it's like a winding sort of vertical journey of ours. We are going in this way, going up. That's Sirat al-Mustaqim. Not Sirat al-Mustaqim in that sense, right? So after all that marifat and understanding and ibadat, Prophet still says that I cannot. So this is something that we need to know, that it is not possible to fully comprehend and have that utmost knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not possible. But this doesn't mean that we should close down the books and we should not educate ourselves and we should not learn. We should not have marifat of Allah. No. Awwaluddin Marifa, the Anbiya and the Awliya, they came and they taught, different ways of understanding. And all of these understanding, brings about that certainty and yaqeen our heart. Ilmul yaqeen, ainul yaqeen, haqqul yaqeen, all of the different levels of certainty, with knowledge, with seeing, with our wujud, all is increasing our knowledge. So ma'rifat is something that is a must, and we should try our level best. Reading, we have to read, we have to dedicate ourselves, we have to read books. Yes, alhamdulillah, we were blessed by the mimbar and we attended majalises, we attend lectures, it's all good, but we have to read as well. We have to spend time. We have to buy books on Islam. Yes, Quran is good, we have to read Quran. Najul Balagha is good, yes, we have to read Najul Balagha. But like I said, these are heavy weights. We got to start from somewhere, basic. Even the translations are heavy too. Imam Khomeini translation, Allama Tabatabai this book, or Shaykh Mutahari that book, right? It is heavy because it's been written for a particular group of people who had that background and who were brought up in that Islamic sort of environment, in Iran or Iraq, and who have some sort of basis for that. For us in the West, it's a bit difficult. We have to have a different approach for that. We have to look for certain, scholars who have introduced Islam in the West. Like I always recommend Sayyid Hussein Nasr. His books are best. I personally grew up on Nasr in terms of understanding, So his books are really good for us in the West. He's still alive, may Allah protect him. He was contemporary to Shaykh Mutahari, and he studied under Allama Tabatabai. So for our youth, his books are good. So read those books, and then after that we'll have a deeper understanding of what Imam Khomeini is saying or Shaykh Mutahari is saying, right? Okay, now Ma'rifat, as we said, that yes, it is something that is possible, and we have to embark upon it. We have to know, we have to have the understanding, even though we are unable to fully understand, right? Now, the other thing, as we said, is that action, right? Ikhlas. Now, when it comes to action, Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now, when it comes to action, we find that, it helps our understanding and ma'rifat. Now, I lost the chain of thought. Something came to my mind, I forgot. Explaining, went in the margins. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Yes. So first and foremost is that ma'rifat of Allah, and that ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is definitely possible, right? To whatever level that we can comprehend and understand. And the thing that we need to ask is that asking Allah for the expansion of our heart to increase our knowledge. We should have that passion. We really want to increase our knowledge. Yes, I may not be able to fully comprehend philosophical, mystical concept, but I love to do that. That passion and love should be there. And we should ask Allah to expand our heart for that, right? And Allah does that in a very miraculous way. He opens the hearts of people to have His ma'rifat and shinaqt in its own way. A person doesn't even go to the school or university or hawza, but still when it comes to having ma'rifat of Allah, Allah opens that. I had given this example of Baba Tahir Oriyan, who jumped into the coal pond, pond that was there. A pond was there in the courtyard of the madrasa. Somebody told him, if you jump into it, you will become Arif. So he was a simple guy, sada admi tha bilkul, jo bolte the sun leta tha, right? So he went and jumped into that coal pond that was there in the madrasa. And then he took Oriyan means naked, right? So he took his clothes off and he jumped into it. And then when he came out, he was reciting poetry, very irfani poetry. God provided him, right? That ma'rifah. And his poetry is so complex and deep, we have to study philosophy to understand what he's saying. But he had that passion. And he had that amal on whatever level the amal was there. He practiced it. And then he was always in search of it. And he wants it, he wanted it, he desired for it. So we have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to expand our heart. Alam nashrah laka sadrak. That sadr, that heart should be expanded. It wasn't easy for a human being to comprehend the Quran. Law anzalna hadal Quran, right? If this Quran was revealed upon Jabal, upon the mountain would go shattered into dust. But it came upon the heart of a human being. It came upon the heart of the Prophet. Why? Because alam nashra laka sadra, right? Allah expanded that heart. So this is something that we have to ask all the time, that this zarf, this capacity, especially these nights that we are in the nights of Qadr we had, and 25th and 27th, according to certain riwayat, also nights of Qadr. We have to ask the expansion of our heart for the knowledge and ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to descend. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So now when a human being, when an insan sincerely practices what he knows, he enters the security or the castle or the fort of Allah. La ilaha illallah hisni, as they say. That belief of La ilaha illallah brings that protection. He enters the fortress. Or, for example, you will find, according to the sixth Iman, قَالَ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ مُخْلِصًا دَخَلَ الْجَنَّةِ. A person who says La ilaha illallah mukhlisan, in a sincere way, دَخَلَ الْجَنَّةِ, he will enter paradise. But ikhlas is what we said, it is aql amali. Not just La ilaha illallah, but at the same time, you should have that action as well. So a person who says La ilaha illallah mukhlisan dakhal al-jannah. Or for example, you have that very famous hadith, Man akhlasa lillah arba'ina sabhan. A person who sincerely act sincerely for 40 days. Allah will open the fountain of knowledge in his heart, naturally. Is ilm huzuri, that knowledge which is directly given to him from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's inspired by knowledge. As we know, there are two types of knowledge. A knowledge that we acquire, that we learn, a knowledge that is in the heart, given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Some people, that element of knowledge by huzur, by presence, is very strong because of their action, because of their sincerity. So a person who sincerely act for 40 days, right, a fountain of knowledge will gush out from his heart. So sincerity is required, right? Salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now, if somebody who wants to achieve that sincerity and purity, one of the things that is very powerful, and Amirul Mu'minin in Munajat al-Shabaniya also mentions this, and that is love of Allah. That is muhabbat of Allah. One should have that love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that sincerity will come. What is sincerity? Sincerity is, what is khulus? Khulus is for Allah. We do everything for Allah. That's what khulus is. So Majnoon is always after Layla because he loves Layla. And every action he's doing is for Layla. Right? Why? Because he loves. So the same way that love should come in our heart towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to become ashiq. Ishq, we have to have that ishq. Ishq actually comes from a vine or a plant, which is known as ashaqe. Ashaqe means that like a vine that goes around the trees. You have seen that, right? Like certain vines that go around the tree. What happens to that tree afterwards? The tree dies because it holds it so hard that it dies. So when a person becomes ashiq, that means, he's been taken away by that ashaqe, by that love of Allah, have come inside. So we have to become ashiq of Allah, right? And Imam Hussein was ashiq of Allah, right? We had that muhabbat and ishq. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَتَّخِذُ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ أَنْدَادًا يُحِبُّونَهُمْ كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. Their love is very shadid. The mu'mineen, their love to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very shadid. This love brings about khulus, sincerity. It's only for Allah. My action is. In the Munajat of Amirul Mu'minin, which I mentioned, he says that, "Oh Allah, wake me up with the passion of love, by which I will not commit a sin." So Hazrat Amir is saying the reason I will not commit a sin is that when I am awakened by your love. In Munajat of Shabaniya, he says, "Oh Allah, awaken the love that I have." So when I have that love, then where lies the question of committing a sin? Because when a lover always remembers the beloved and does not want to make the beloved upset, even if the beloved is not in the presence. As I said earlier, Majnun used to go kiss the feet of the dog. Majnun would kiss the feet of the dog. Why are you kissing? He said, "This dog sometimes goes in the house of Layla. That's why I'm kissing." Right? That much amount of love. Right? That love should be with Allah. And we have seen right? In history, there were great lovers. You know, for example, you have Maulana Rumi, Jalaluddin Rumi. Look at his poetry, fascinating, full of love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are something our youth needs to get into. Read Rumi a lot. Hafiz, amazing, you know, full of love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his poetry, right? You know, reading these poetries will ignite, will bring the what do you call, the taste and substance of love in us. You know, if you don't read them, okay, it's very dry, it's there, but we have to read them. You know, when somebody is in love of somebody, shairi mein chale jate hain, hai na? Right? They start to look at poetry and just want to send a text message very poetic to the lover, huh? Right? इधर से क्लिप मारते हैं, उधर से भेजना है, you know, मोहब्बत हो गई है भाई, है ना? So they try to use, so you have to get into poetry if one wants to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and know the true love. You know, these loves are kazib, these are false love and mijazi, these are relative love. It's good, we should have this love too, you know, if it's halal and mahram, you know, not with non-mahram, right? It's good to have that love, you know, love of children, love of wife, love of mother, you know, it's all love. Love is beyond just one little thing. It's everywhere. Is love of Ahlul Bayt, love of Hussein, and love of Allah. You know, all is in that direction. It's vertical. The same way as, you know, al-izzatu lillah wa li rasulih wa lil mu'minin. So the love the same way. You know, the love I have for my children is very similar to the love that I will have for Allah, right? And the more shadid love I have for my children, the more shadid love I will have for Allah. Never ever think that. If I serve my children, if I serve my mother and parents and community and family, then I am depriving myself from serving Allah. If I am serving my community, that means I will be the best servant of Allah. Imam Hussein loved Ali Asghar so much. As he loved Ali Asghar so much, because of that love, he loved Allah. Right? So that the intensity of the love which I do, and sometimes I am provided and I am responsible of that services or love, if I fall short in that love, I will be falling short in loving Allah. अब मैं यट्टी का काम करूं, you know, services provide करूं, यट्टी पता नहीं यार it's Hyderabadi or not, just like, you know, they say, is it there, you know, not fully dedicated, and I just do, oh, MOMIN का ये मस्जिद है, कोई बात नहीं, you know, इधर पढ़ा है उधर, you know, I will do the same thing if I given an opportunity. Oh, but I want to serve, being the khuddam of Imam Hussein, of Imam Raza, I want to wear that and be there. You know, if I'm not fixing the books here, or I'm not fixing the sijdagas here, you know, this desire of, no, I want to be there with that black coat and be the khuddam of Imam Raza alayhi salam, I will do the same thing there. Maybe in 1 or 2 days I will be okay. After that I will fall onto my own old habits. So it starts at home. You know, we have to start here, right? If I keep this place, this house of Imam Hussein, this house of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam intact and good, then when I'm given the opportunity to serve of the house of Zahra, I will serve the best. Right? Same way as love as well. You know, if I have that shadid love of the beloved, this same love I would have when I will realize of Allah. Zulaykha Yusuf, great story, right? You know, Zulaykha was in love with Yusuf. And then Yusuf did dua, the youthness came back apparently to Zulaykha. But she became lover of Allah, right? And she became one of the best lover of Allah because she had that relative love, and that was shadid. So we have to create that heart which have and which can be trained to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, I will recommend, you know, if you can reflect a bit on Maulana Rumi's poetry, Hafiz's poetry, to really have that deeper understanding of that love. Now, as we said, what's the time? I said, I don't have a watch. Do we have time? जब मोहब्बत की बात आ रही है तो फिर सब जो है मज़े हो जाए इंशाअल्लाह। सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद। आप लोग भी पुराने पुराने आशिक़ां शायद याद कर रहे होंगे, किस तरह से मोहब्बत करते थे और किस तरह से देखते थे और पता नहीं क्या क्या। और सलवात भेजे मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद। So therefore, there's that true love that will bring us out. Now there's muhabbat-e-kazib, which means false love, which deteriorates. One realizes that very easily. Because I love an Xbox game so much, I really want to have it. Right? Once I have that, something else comes. I want that. So what happened to that love and those tears and crying, and you're not eating, you're not listening. You're in so much love of that game. It's gone, it's finished. Because something new came. As they say, libas no amad tu bazar. When the new dress come in the bazaar, the old becomes azar, becomes painful, becomes difficult. वो आँख में चुभने लगता है पुराना लिबास, क्योंकि नया fashion आ गया है, right? So this is what happened to that love. That love was a kazib love, was not a true love. It was relative love. It was not true. The true love is a love that is never ends. Every Ashura, we are in love of Hussein. It never ends. From that young age, you would find that little, child, when we were, that we used to cry for Imam Hussein, used to do matam for Imam Hussein. Look at how red have become here, feel proud about it. And even today as well, बूढ़े होने के बाद भी जब कपड़े कभी बदलते हैं, देखो माशाल्लाह अच्छा मातम किया. We are so happy about it, right? We are proud. This is true love, because this love never ends. This love is always there, right? So we have to differentiate between that true love and that false love, and then hold on to that true love, and it just keep on increasing. It keep on increasing. The true love never fades away, right? So try to find and look for that true love, and in kuntum tuhibbuna Allah fattabi'uni yuhibbukumullah. Once you love, if you love Allah, as that's a true love, then what is the action plan? Fattabi'uni, follow the Rasul, whatever he is doing, because action of Rasul will also bring more love of yours to the true love, to the truth, and also, Allah will love you as well at the same time. That wilayat comes about. Allah becomes your wali, and you become a wali of Allah. And Allah says that, if somebody does any disrespect to my wali, I will rage a battle against that person, right? So that true love, in kuntum tuhibbun Allah fattabi'uni. Now, a little bit about following the Rasul. Once again, dear brothers and sisters, like I said, we have to read. We have to practice. Reading, for instance, there's a text by Allama Tabatabai on Sunanun Nabi. It has been translated in English. You can find it on islam.org. There's a PDF of it. Sunnat of Rasulullah. What was his sunnat? How he used to, eat, drink, sit, take medicine, use the restroom and toilet. Really, if we practice the sunnah, our bathrooms will not be like the way it is. Right? We say, love of Rasul and Imam Hussein. I'm sorry to say, the love of Rasul and Imam Hussein is not in the Ashur Khana, how beautifully we have made. It's actually in the bathrooms that we use. If you really want to see that. I'm sorry to say that, Right? So therefore, in kuntum tuhibbun Allah fattabi'uni. So we have to read and try to implement, put that into practice. Sunan Nabi of Allama Tabatabai, it's in English, right? He wrote it about 100 years ago or so. If you read the Muqaddama, the introduction of it. And beautiful. And we have to implement that. Little things, we have to practice that. He would sit on the dastarkhan, on the food mat, right, facing the Qibla, for example. So now, आज रात में झगड़ी नहीं हो यहाँ पे. सब लोग उस तरफ बैठना चाहेंगे, So that doesn't mean that you, if somebody is facing the Qibla, Maulana said I should face the Qibla, so you push him and you hit him. No, right? Just that intention that, I cannot sit today, but that niyat will bring me the sawab. Okay? So now, for example, he would feed the person who is in front first, then he will feed the person who is on the left, on the right, then on the left, then he will take food. These adab and these sunan have to come about. Now, one thing, I think I mentioned it earlier as well, in terms of these adab and rusumat and sunan practices that we have, there are, Allama in the introduction points out to, there are three different types or classification of these practices. Number one, these practices which are khurafat, which are like superstitions. Oh, Billy chale gayi samne se, something like that. The cat went through in front of me while I was driving, so it's a bad omen. It's a type of practice, right? It has been there. That's one type of practice, classification of practice. That you find different variety of it. MashaAllah, ila MashaAllah, mukhtalif. Somebody, if you have a cold and he sneezes, oh, baith jao. Abhi to corona hai, cheek maayenge to bhagenge, Baith jane ka sawal nahi hai yahan pe. After if somebody sneezes, it's like they say, oh, sabar aaya. When you sneeze, sabar aaya. These are some khurafat, right? These things are there. Then there are other practices which are conventional and natural. If somebody brings me something, I say thank you. People practice that. It's everybody practices. Then there are practices of the Anbiya that has always been there, that our actions are either norm or either khurafat or the actions of the Anbiya, which is the source of that is wahi. Whether that be the sunnat of, Hazrat Adam ila Khatam. There are certain sunan of the Anbiya that are there. So those are practices. We are not outside these three action forms. These are the three action forms. If somebody really wants to do even a research of how a person sits, you will find that, how people sit and why people sit that way. Is it a practice? Is it something was practiced by the culture, so on and so forth, right? How we sit in prayers, for example, how we sit in performing yoga, for example, how we sit. These are different sitting. So insan is not outside actions. So either these actions are khurafat or these actions are norm that are there, or these are the sunan. So sunanun nabi is that those sunnat of Rasulullah. In kuntum tuhibbuna Allah fattabi'uni. Follow me if you really love me. Right? How do I follow you? Do exactly the way I do. This way, your love to Allah will increase and Allah will love you too. From the ma'rifati point of view, aqle nazari to aqle amali, follow Rasul. In terms of aqle nazari, look how Rasul is introducing Ahl Bayt alayhi salam. Look how Rasul said that Fatima is from me and I am from Fatima. Right? This is aqle nazari. Right? How Rasul stands up for the Siddiqa Kubra, for example, right? So, from the aql nazari point of view and aql amali point of view, follow Rasul, yuhbibkumullah, and will be, Allah will love us as well. Inna Allah yuhibbu tawabin wa yuhibbu mutahharin. Love, true love, if we want to have, we have to be those who do tawbah. Alhamdulillah, how light we feel from last night, from the night before, all of these amal. By the end of month of Ramadan, there's a feeling of joy in the hearts. And we have to maintain this feeling of joy. We should be happy about it. We should not, bring any, fasale, distance between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because through action, as we said, like in the earlier, as we were saying, we are all waliullah potentially. We are all waliullah. And if we don't reach our potential, it is wal asr innal insana lafi khusr. We have to become waliullah. And the Ahl Bayt alayhi salam came here to make us waliullah. Who are the waliullah? Awliya Allah la khawfun alayhim wa lahum yahzanun. Awliya are those people who have no fear and they have no huzn. Why are we afraid? We shouldn't be afraid of death. Main to chala hu Ali ki mulaqat ke liye. There's no fear for the awliya. Right? That's why when we look at فَتَمَنَّوُا الْمَوْتَ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. These are the awliya. They have no fear at all. So we are, Ahl Bayt alayhi salam came to make us waliullah. Wali means nearness. Wali means qurb. And ma'rifat is one of the element and ikhlas is another element for us to become waliullah. And for having that true ma'rifat, muhabbat. That's what we are discussing. Muhabbat of having that true muhabbat. Allah loves who? Tawwabin. So we should be from those who are doing tawbah. We should be ta'ib. We should be in the state of tawbah all the time. We should become tawbah ourselves. What do I mean by that? Because Allah is tawwab. Allah does tawbah all the time. Oh, what am I saying? Allah does tawbah? Yeah, Allah does tawbah all the time. He's tawwab. The person who does a lot of tawbah is known as tawwab. Something doing a lot, right? So Allah does tawbah a lot? Yes, He does tawbah a lot. Because He turns to us more than we turn to Him. Because He turns to us and give us the tawfiq to turn to Him. And then He turns to us with maghfirah. He wakes our heart up. He puts that, guilt or, that sort of nafs lawwama, that we have, that conscious that we have. He awakens us. It is from Allah. He awakens that conscious in us. So He has turned to us. When He has turned to us, then we turn to Him. We say astaghfirullah. Then He turns to us with maghfirah. So He turns twice, we turn only one time. Right? So therefore, He's tawwab. So we also should be in the state of tawbah all the time. Tawbah from what? From that lower sort of understanding to higher. Lower to higher. So this state is a perpetual state of us. And mutatahhirin, those who are, purify themselves. Inna Allah yuhibbul muqsitin, those who love justice and establish justice. Inshallah. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi tahirin.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم Brothers, if you can also move towards the left so that we can have a connection with the sisters. Jazakallah. Just 1 minute before the namaz Jamaat starts, let us just arrange the... ठीक है अजहर भाई? ठीक है अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह. Just inshallah today after the azan we'll have the iftar break, the usual program, then we'll have salat al-isha, and then inshallah we'll have dua iftitah at the end after the salat al-isha. All brothers and sisters are kindly requested to please stay till the end of the program, and just don't want to take much time. Just important that Jummatul Wida is coming, and this Jummatul Wida we have a marhumin iftar at the center. So all those who would like to contribute towards the marhumin, towards the iftar niyaz, are kindly requested to contact Brother Azhar Bhai. And inshallah, Jummatul Wida, Yawm al-Quds, Salat al-Jummah will be held at downtown. You have already seen the posters. Please do attend in maximum numbers. Thank you. Jazakallah. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
يا الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله استغفر الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر استغفر الله ربي الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد كذلك الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم واجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره ومن شيعته ومن محبيك الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بحول الله وقوته الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله.
السلام عليكم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا علي يا عظيم يا غفور يا رحيم. أنت الرب العظيم الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. وهذا شهر نظمته وكرمته وشرفته وفضلته على الشهور، وهو الشهر الذي فرضت صيامه عليه، وهو شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان، وجعلت فيها ليلة القدر وجعلتها خير من ألف شهر. فيا ذا المن ولا يمن عليك، من علي بفكاك رغبتي من النار في من تمن علي، وادخل الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم
صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. सूरह फातिहा की दरख्वास्त है मरहुमा सैयदा साबरा बेगम जिनकी आज बरसी है, मरहुम सैयद मुस्तफ़ा नकवी, मरहुमा हूर बानो, मरहुम सैयद आगा अली जाफरी, अज़मत नकवी के मरहुमीन के लिए अपने अपने मरहुमीन शोहदा इस्लाम व कुल अरवाहिल मरहुमीन अल मरहुमात सवाबुल फातिहा। इकराम नई फैसिलिटी है, कल पहला दिन था, आज इंशाल्लाह दूसरा दिन है. इंतज़ामिया, even the management is trying to do the best to get things organized. The tents are put outside the door, as you have seen, for the ladies as well as the gents. So all are kindly requested, please go towards that area. The volunteers will give you the iftar plate, reuse this plate for the dinner, and please you can use the tent and sit there comfortably and have the iftar, please. Jazakallah.
الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين عليًا ولي الله. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين عليًا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير الأعمال حي على خير الأعمال. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. اللهم اغفر المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات بحرمة سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد. أحسنتم بارك الله فيه. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا ولي الله. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين وأولاد المعصومين حجج الله. هيا على الصلاة، هيا على الصلاة، هيا على الفلاح، هيا على الفلاح، هيا على خير العمل، هيا على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر، الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله. استغفر الله، أستغفر الله من كل ذنب وأتوب إليه إنه كان غفارا. الله أكبر،
الله أكبر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر، وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر. ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته يقوم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد، الله الصمد، لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. كذلك الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعليه الطاهرين. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وتقبل شفاعته وارفع درجته بحول الله وقوته يقوم وقود. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله. سبحان الله والحمد لله. سبحان الله والحمد لله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته يقوم وقود. سبحان الله والحمد لله. سبحان الله. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم ولعن من عاداهم. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بنا ما أنت أهله ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله يا أهل التقوى والمغفرة يا أرحم الراحمين بحرمة محمد.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم ادخل على أهل القبور السرور. اللهم اغن كل فقير. اللهم اشف كل جان. اللهم اكس كل عريان. اللهم اقض دين كل مدين. اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب. اللهم رد كل غريب. اللهم فك كل أسير. اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين. اللهم اشف كل مريض. اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك. اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك. اللهم اغني عنا الدين واغننا من الفقر انك على كل شيء قدير.
MOMIN, inshallah, we'll have dua iftitah. Again, Surah Fatiha is requested for Marhum Sayyid Sabira Begum, Marhum Sayyid Muhammad Mustafa Naqvi, Marhuma Hurbano, Marhum Sayyid Agha Ali Jafri, Azmat Marhum Azmat Naqvi ke Marhumin ke liye apne apne Marhumin Shuhada Islam, and especially for this young brother who passed away today in Karachi. He was 23 years old, Marhum Shamil Jamani, Ibn Imran Jamani, and here his tadfeen has taken place at Wadi Zainab. Brothers are also requested to recite namaz wahshat for the marhum. His name is Marhum Shamil Jamani, Ibn Imran Jamani, wa kul arwah al-marhumin al-marhumat sawab al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sayyidina as-salat al-mustaqim, as-salat al-ladhina an'amta alayhim wa al-maghdubi alayhim wa ad-dallin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We have found a small aqiq ring, possibly belongs to a youngster. If anyone has lost one, please they can contact me or one of the IEC members and identify and take this from me. Jazakallah. Inshallah, in short while we'll have the dua iftitah. Please be seated in the Imam Barakah. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allah.
بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أفتتح الثناء بحمدك وأنت مسدد للصواب بمنك، وأيقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة، وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النكال والنقمة، وأعظم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعظمة. اللهم أذنت لي في دعائك ومسألتك، فاسمع يا سميع مدحتي وأجب يا رحيم دعوتي، وأقل يا غفور عثرتي، فاهكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها، وهموم قد كشفتها، وعثرة قد أقلتها، ورحمة قد نشرتها، وحلقة بلاء قد انتهى. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا. الحمد لله بجميع محامده كلها على جميع نعمه كلها. الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له في ملكه ولا منازع له في أمره. الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه ولا شبيه له في عظمته. الحمد لله الفاشي في الخلق أمره وحمده الظاهر بالكرم مجده الباسط بالجود يده الذي لا تنقص خزائنه ولا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرما إنه هو العزيز الوهاب. اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير ما حاجة بي إليه عظيما وغناك عنه قديم وهو عندي كثير وهو عليك سهل يسير. اللهم إن عفوك عن ذنبي وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي وسفحك عن ظلمي وسترك على قبيح عملي وحلمك عن كثير جرمي عندما كان من خطئي وعمدي أطمعني في أن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك الذي رزقتني من رحمتك وأريتني من قدرتك وعرفتني من إجابتك فصرت أدعوك آمنا وأسألك مستأنسا لا خائفا ولا وجلا مدلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك. فإن أبطأ عني عتبت بجهلي عليك ولعل الذي أبطأ عني هو خير لي لعلمك بعاقبة الأمور. فلم أر مولا كريما أصبر على عبد لئيم منك علي يا رب. إنك تدعوني فأولي عنك وتتحبب إلي فأتبغض إليك وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك كأن اليد تنظر عليك. فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان إلي والتفضل علي بجودك وكرمك. فارحم عبدك الجاهل وجن عليه بفضل إحسانك إنك جواد كريم. الحمد لله مالك الملك مجري الفلك مسخر الرياح فالق الإصباح ديان الدين رب العالمين. الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته والحمد لله على طول أناته في غضبه وهو قادر على ما يريد. الحمد لله خالق الخلق باسط الرزق فالق الإصباح ذي الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى. الحمد لله الذي ليس له منازع يعادل ولا شبيه يشاكل ولا ضجير يقاضد. قار بعزته الأعزاء وتواضع لعظمته العظماء فبلغ بقدرته ما يشاء. الحمد لله الذي يجيبني حين أنادي ويسر علي كل عورة وأنا عاصي ويعظم النعمة علي فلا أجازي. فكم من موهبة هنيئة قد أعطاني وعظيمة مخوفة قد كفاني وبهجة مونقة قد أراني فأثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يهتك حجابه ولا يغلق بابه ولا يرد سائل ولا يخيب عامل. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن الخائفين وينجي الصالحين ويرفع المستضعفين ويضع المستكبرين ويهلك ملوكا ويستخلف آخرين. الحمد لله قاسم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك العاربين نكال الظالمين صريخ المستصرخين موضع حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها وترجف الأرض وعمارها وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراتها. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق ويرزق ولا يرزق ويطعم ولا يطعم ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالتك أفضل وأحسن وأجمل وأكمل وأزكى وأما أطيب وأطهر وأسنى وأكثر ما صليت وباركت وترحمت وتحننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفوتك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك. اللهم وصل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم. وصلى على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين. وصلى على سبطي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. وصلى على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف العادل المهدي حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم وصل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك، استخلفه في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله، مكن له دينه الذي ارتضيته له، أبدله من بعد خوفه أمنا يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا. اللهم أعزه وأعزز به، وانصره وانتصر به، وانصره نصرا عزيزا، وافتح له فتحا يسيرا، واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. اللهم أظهر به دينك وسنة نبيك حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله، وتذل بها النفاق وأهله، وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك، وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملنا، وما قصرنا عنه فبلغنا. اللهم المم به شعثنا، واشعب به صدعنا، وارتق به فتقنا، وكثر به قلتنا، وعزز به ذلتنا، واغن به عائلنا، واغض به عن مغرمنا، واجبر به فقرنا، وسد به خلتنا، ويسر به عسرنا، وبيض به وجوهنا، وفك به أسرنا، وأنجح به طلبتنا، وأنجز به مواعيدنا، واستجب به دعوتنا، وأعطنا به سؤلنا، وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة آمالنا، وأعطنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين وأوسع المعطين. اشف به صدورنا، وأذهب به غيظ قلوبنا، واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك، إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا إله الحق آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلواتك عليه وآله، وغيبة ولينا، وكثرة عدونا، وقلة عددنا، وشدة الفتن بنا، وتظاهر الزمان علينا. فصل على محمد وآله وأعنا على ذلك بفتح منك تعجل وبضر تكشف ونصر تعز وسلطان حق تظهر ورحمة منك تجللنا وعافية منك تلبسنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. محمد وعجل فرجه.
متوجه زيارة. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين، خصوصا سيدي مولاي أبو الفضل العباس وقاسم بن الحسن ومسلم بن يقيل وهاني بن عروة وحبيب بن مظاهر والحر الشهيد الرياحي. السلام عليكم يا ساداتي وموالي جميع ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء، السلام عليك يا سلطان العرب والعجم، يا علي بن موسى الرضا، روح وجسمك الفداء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان، عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته. بابا بلند صلوات.